Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Mark here, Academic Advisor from the Engineering Advising Center, here to talk to you today about active learning. So what is active learning? Well, let's start by defining passive learning. So maybe you're sitting in your room and you're reading your textbook, or you're in class watching a lecture. You're hearing all the information that you'll need to remember later, or maybe after class you're watching a video trying to further understand concepts that you've learned in class. What do these three things have in common? Well, the learning in all of these cases is happening upon you, right? So you have this content, this information that you're trying to remember and to learn to understand, and it's really just going one way into your brain. The problem with learning in this format is that you're really relying on your brain to just kind of remember all those things after they've only come in once. It turns out what's helpful is to make this learning active. So how can you do that? What are some examples? Well, maybe you're meeting with your friends in the library after class to discuss the concepts and the topics that you've learned. Maybe after class, at some point, you are starting with a blank sheet of paper and you're writing down all the topics that you can remember. This is a great way to help remind you of what it is that you did pick up right away, and what are some of the things that you'll need to go back and reinforce. A third example is to create a content map, right? So you start with maybe chapter 9, and you're creating a map of all the information, all the content that you'll need to remember for later. What this does, this is actually great in that it helps you give you a visual representation of the chapter, and it's a great place to start from when you're studying for finals later. So what's the gist here? The gist here is that you're starting with stuff, right? You have all this information that you're trying to remember, and that you're pulling it into your brain, but then the important step here is that you're creating new stuff from that original stuff. And that is what helps you really fully understand what's going on, more than just trying to memorize what you've got coming in. So what are a few more examples? Well, create index cards. Index cards are great. You can make them for each of the topics that you're learning in each chapter. But what's important is that you're doing something more than simply reading the front and then reading the back to see if you've got it correct. Maybe you can organize these by chapter, or try to remember them chronologically or by topic, or organize them in different ways. It's a great way to test what you understand. Another example, study groups, right? So at some point in between courses, discuss the topics that came up in class. And so this way, you're sort of trying to recall all the information and explain it to somebody in a way that maybe they didn't previously understand. And then last but not least, create a map of the concepts, as I mentioned earlier. This creates a great visual representation and really helps to test your understanding of the material. So there you have it, active learning. If you have any questions about this or want to further discuss other strategies, don't hesitate to make an appointment with your advisor.